find that as a product manager, how do you create a space that promotes that for teams? How do you allow and trust your teams to actually do what they need? I think you touched on something very key for me, is that you are the manager, but you're not the manager, right? I came from delivery, and now I'm on the other side. Now I'm sort of like the business part, because now I have to compare values, etc., and distancing yourself from that, but still having that voice, yeah, plays a major role. Um, yeah, it's a long-winded answer, but yeah, that's that's it. And I mean, like that, it impacts quality, because if you don't have people that feel safe enough to actually speak and know and 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 break down whatever requirement or how solution you bring in, right? What quality are they gonna produce if they don't interrogate the 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 work that's delivered, the user satisfaction, and then you look at the status quo around not only your industry but tech itself, right? If you're in the tech game or whatever business environment you're in, are you always constantly catching up? Are you innovating? Do you create space for innovation? And how does that show up? And when you have cross-functional teams and people that can play multiple, you absolutely you create a space for innovation.
Absolutely, right. I mean, um, I also like that you mentioned what I mentioned earlier, which is like, um, um, yeah, you are the manager and still nobody's manager. But then you should have the capacity and the strength to talk to different teams that will make sure that you get to the goal. I mean, not just um, individual differences, but also differences across multiple teams, the marketing teams, the engineering teams, all of this together. I mean, you should be able to manage this conversation and also be able to manage them completely. I also like the fact that you mentioned that they should be able to talk to you. I mean, they should be able to relate with you, and I mean, be free. I mean, and also like be able to share their view on whatever is being worked on. I mean, it's also start from you communicating and also giving clarity on whatever you guys are working on. I love that. Okay, so the role of a product manager in cross functional collaboration, the strategies and assembling teams that represent diverse expertise. How do you intend building that? I mean, I know you've mentioned it already, but then what are like the major guidelines to this? We have a bunch of new guys into product management, and they want to know how, I mean, how do you, I mean, one of those crazy thing is managing people, and now you're not just managing people alone, you're managing teams. I mean, that's a lot of people together.
No, absolutely. I think I'm in a nice situation where I don't do that the normal HR people management, right? Yes, I do manage what they do. I don't manage. I manage what they do on my product, which is anything digital. I don't manage them, right? Which also creates that space that they can feel comfortable that I'm not gonna mark you down for coming at me and speaking to me about how you feel and the state of the product. That's what I love. I love getting feedback. So and that's part of creating a safe space. And I think that's one thing that's gonna come through in in our conversation, especially for my end, because I've been on a campaign to empower my teams to speak more, right? Especially my business teams, because I cannot be in every meeting. I cannot be, the eye that sees everything. There's other things I have to focus on. But if I've created an environment that empowers people to feel safe enough to speak, and um, our digital team is across. We have people in India, we have people in Mauritius, we have people in Nigeria, we have people in Egypt. So it's spread across the globe with different cultures, with different interactions. So how do you create that space that allows somebody from India to feel comfortable enough to speak, and say, even with language barriers, right? And then the other part is, how do you enable and trust your team, right? How do you show that you trust them? Because when they know that they're trusted, they actually feel more comfortable handling situations, and then coming to you with not just the issue but with solutions. And identification of critical touch points, and and how we manage those, engage those. And it's touch points, not just technologically, it's also what affects my business, which parts of my business. We have a customer experience division, and then I don't take any feature into our big room planning without them seeing it and understanding what it is, right? Just like I would not take anything without speaking to legal. And those are pretty much departments that I never considered. But that's what I mean by critical touch points. Is like, where are you affecting your customers? Um, are you safe from a legal perspective? What does security think about my new APIs? What if I'm exposing myself to something else? And also, I think creating awareness around strategy, vision, and product goals, right? So we do big room planning every quarter, and every quarter we come and say, okay, this is where the business is at, this is a status quo, and then this is a strategic focus. After board, they might change strategy. So how do you now change strategy with the team? And then they need to know what the business wants to do, because when they know what's vital for the company, they know what to prioritize when they're in sprint planning, when they're doing their grooming. Another long-winded answer, but I hope you caught some gist of that.
I mean, I love, I love your answers, to be honest. But then, I was going to talk about what are the communication strategies, but you already touched it a bit, which is like having to meet them quarterly and having to also meet them on sprint plannings, and I mean, for them to know what to prioritize on and to know what the goals is like, right? I mean, that would just make me jump that question and move to the next one, which is like, how do you balance conflicting interest and priorities? I mean, maybe for marketing team, this is like the metrics they want to see, because that is what that carries out um their work basically. But then, I mean, maybe that metrics is not even good enough for that product, because I mean, it just doesn't justify that the product is successful yet. And how do you manage those kind of things basically?
Um, it's communication, communication, and communication, right? It's making sure people know what's happening in my digital space, and what is, all the things that it's being thrown at the team, what the app team needs to look at, what the online team needs to look at, what my security and my deep integration team, deep stack team needs to look at, and also transparency. I think there's this in some organizations, you find that people want to hog information because I'm the only one that knows this, but then you are not doing your team any favors, you're not doing the company any favors, right? So information must be open, it must be transparent, right? Yes, there's certain financial things that I don't need to know. Like, I don't need to know what my boss is, or that's not vital for me to perform my job. But what I need to perform my job, I need to have access to. So it's around creating that transparency. And in terms of prioritizing, I bring them all in the same room when I do a big room planning. It's not just me and the development and delivery teams. I bring the business stakeholders in, right? And they have to all listen to all the other different divisions that are saying, we are in a crisis, we need this and this and this, even though they were prioritized lower in the previous quarter. This quarter it might change, and now they're they're the highest priority. How does that affect our current backlog? How does that affect the things that we're working on? Can we change, shift gears and move a different way? And because when you create a team that's agile enough, it's possible. Like, okay, cool. We can do this, and we can move and change. And again, creation of a psychologically safe space, right? So that everybody has the voice to say, no, that will not work. that's not ready to be taken in. We understand it's critical for the business, but that does not necessarily mean that we can do something about it at this point in time, because there's still so many unanswered, questions around that feature that you want. So maybe we can give you discovery work in this quarter, but we're not going to do any development work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love how, sorry, I think I'm saying a lot of love at it, but I mean, I love how you answer them, and I mean, bring a lot of examples to say, I mean, we are not doing this now. I mean, in a very um like, understandable way with, I mean, logics to why we cannot do it. Basically, it looks like it's the next thing, but still not. It looks like it's an important thing, but not the next thing. Basically, I
Absolutely.
love
Right?
that.
Yeah,
It's
and I mean, like, you have execs that they shout the loudest, right? So I'm like, I'm shout in the same room with all the other execs, and then let them fight it out. I step back, and I'm like, we've evaluated all what you want to bring.
hmm
So part of the prep that I do with my Scrum Master and the product owner is, okay, we go on a roadshow and we speak to customer experience. Okay, what's your pain points? What do you want to bring to the big room planning, right? And the product owner can say, I know these three items, these three, I have no clue what they are, right? So we can't. It's either I have to do a requirements and investigate before that session,
hmm
um, or we cannot. We're not even going to discuss it. And then it's that open and honest with your business stakeholders that yes, it's key for you, but it's an unknown to us, and it's
hmm
going to be a waste of time for my team to pick up something that they would back and forth with business to determine how it should work, how it should function.
hmm
Rather, we can prioritize it from an analysis and discovery perspective, not from a delivery. Right, the next quarter, if it's still that it's still highly required, then it could be prioritized from a delivery perspective. And
hmm
it's that communication with everybody in the room. I don't believe in closed digital doors meetings. Come to the meeting if you're gonna benefit from it. And for me, big room planning, when you practice safe and you do big room planning, it's key to have your business stakeholders. I'll tell you, you are responsible. I'm the product manager for my digital. You are product manager for this specific thing, right? Come and fight for the product.
hmm
Done all the necessary parts that you need to for business to give you the go ahead, right? To say, okay, yes, we can do this thing. Now you have to fight against the priority. And that's a priority against company strategy, business status quo, what's happening in the world, all of those things, right? If you go back to when we were down, we started prioritizing digitization of services, right? We had to do a lot of things that were taking a back stack because, oh no, we have that. We can go to the shop and do this thing. But now people couldn't go to the shops, right?
hmm
So it's drop everything else. Now focus and enable all these different things that we've always had in the backlog, but because other things were priority and
hmm
we didn't do them until it was too late. Because we're like, no, the customer can go to the shop. It's cool. We understand. You can go pay your financial product there until it hits you that, oh, customers can go to your shop. Right.
hmm I love this this additional part, and I mean, I was going to like ask, like, I mean, how do you um settle it? But I mean, but you already mentioned that you come with metrics, come with data, tell them you go back and do research, but this doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to do this immediately as we have something else to do. We really don't want to be struggling shipping a feature or shipping a product that we truly don't understand, and we truly don't know, I mean, what done is supposed to look like, or I mean, we really don't want to say we've shipped the feature and it's go live. It's actually what customers don't really want, right? If we have not to think about it, let's go back to the board. Let's go and think about this. Let's do our researches and come back and say, okay, we'll do this next quarter. I mean, like you mentioned, I love that, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I also want to ask. I mean, for this research, um, um, how best do you carry them out? I mean, what are like tools and technology, and also like what are like the metrics to what are like yeah, the metrics or methodology to actually just say this is what we shouldn't do now, and this is what we should do next. I mean, sometimes it could be votes, it could be anything. I mean, what works for you basically?
So I think it differs based on each and every company and organization, right?
Hmm.
It's for me, I derive them from the general company KPIs or strategic goals, and then it's like how do I create a strategy for digital that represents the strategy from an organization perspective, right? And then now we go to the value it brings. Is that what value would this feature bring? Is it a cost saving thing? And can I measure that value? Is it, are we going to be increasing sales? Am I going to be, enabling that? And then my responsibility is to look at that commercial viability of it all. That's why it's commercial and product manager is I look at that, and then because I go to these sessions with my product owner and my scrum master. The scrum master is responsible to look at a delivery perspective, and the product owner is looking at, okay, how do I deliver that for my product. So we all have specific tasks that we take from that conversation. I'm going value, does this make sense? So the numbers make sense. Customer experience, tell me, is this what the customers A/B testing, right? It's a great tool to process to do to see if your feature is going to do what you think it's going to do. I mean, we recently released a feature that starts embedding finance into our journey and into our shopping journeys. But we needed to test it because one of the things you never want to do is detract your customers from spending, from shopping, because you want to teach them something or show them something new, right? But it has absolutely no impact to your customer. Your customer doesn't care. So you can do these kinds of tests. Your customers are your greatest source of information. They tell you. Customers will tell you what they want, right? That is the biggest. It's also a big contributor to how are we prioritizing? How are we measuring it? And also bringing it to the team. I mean, like if we deliver these things, this is what the potential the impact that we can have on the organization. And after 3 months, after the implementation, and coming back to the team and say, hey, we released that feature or that product. Look at what we've done. This is how much we've done. There's a feature that we released. When was it? 2 years ago, and it was the initial stages of virtual card. Like we had a virtual card ready before our banks released virtual card. People don't believe it, but yes, we had a virtual card, but because it was not priority for us, we didn't use it until we the bank started showing the virtual card and we enabled it. And to come to the team and say, hey, like every week on week, the increase in spend on our virtual card is 3 million. Now we're sitting at you because of the feature that you did. We've done over this amount of money, like over hundreds of millions of rands, because you did a specific feature, right? It empowers them. It promotes that. Okay, I'm doing something. They have feedback. They see what's happening, and that, yeah, management of value is critical, and value looks different for every organization. Oh, that
Yeah.
was long. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you circle back to what I usually tell people, which is that customers are always right. I mean, you are going to build for them, so you should understand what exactly what they want, and how maybe sometimes they don't know how they want it. I mean, that's why you're there as a product guy. But then, I mean, just make sure that you are satisfying them. Most things importantly, and I mean, align them with your company goal, and then um, I also love the fact that you mentioned that, I mean, some certain features that you already have, you actually did not deploy them until you see that the users actually need them before. I mean, after communicating with them, you then now understand that, okay, this is what they need, then we should take it out now. And when they take it out, you're actually seeing traction of, I mean, a lot of customers using it, and also, I mean, bringing money for the business, in as a whole, basically. So yeah, I mean, you just already talked about what user collaboration is all about, just in that way. I mean, but if you can just go deep on how those are actually achieved. I know, I mean, basically, even right from day one, before actually building a product, users are more, if not the first, they are like the second set of people you are meeting with, to also know what you want to build and understand who you are building it for, and also understand um why they need it, and maybe sometimes how they need it, basically.
Yeah,
Did you get that?
absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, I think it's multifaceted, right? Is how do you get to your customers, right? How do you get feedback from your customers, and do you listen to that feedback that you get?
Exactly.
When you look at the ratings when you're on your app store, whatever it is, right? Some
Mhm.
customers take the time to write the response in terms of why they are rating you that way. Do you take that and do you process it, right? I like reading that verbatim comment because like that means my customer took 2 minutes to say your app is shit, sorry, but your app is crappy, right? And this is why your app is crappy, right? And then it gives you time to reflect and say, how do I improve this customer? Right? What am I currently building that's gonna improve what my customer is experiencing? We do survey journeys on some of the features. When you release a feature, we may do throw you in the survey the first time you use it. How did you find using our feature? And that informs how we manage the product, like how I enhance the product. Because I'm like, okay, cool, it's a nice product, but uh, this process here doesn't work, right? It's creating too much for the customer, and that's why they don't want to engage with that feature. Let's improve, right? And then that's what there's. As I think I mentioned, A/B testing. I think that's another component of getting to that deep level of user experience and and understanding the why you should do things and how you should do things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love you bringing the A/B testing part. I mean, it's just sort of also, I mean, help you collaborate better with the customer and say, oh, you requested for this, and this is what you have done. Come and check it and look at it. Is this exactly how you want it? Do you think you continue using it? Do you think that now that we have built it, it's what exactly you want, right? I mean, it's a word of, I mean, outside everybody that built it, the engineering, the business, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still built for the customer, and they need to be satisfied so that they can stay glued and use that product and be loyal. I mean, and also, I mean, for referrals also, I mean, that's like one of those beautiful things to make you understand that your product is a success. I mean, people use it and say, "Oh, I think there's a product you need to look at. It's beautiful. I use it for this. Please come and also use it." Um, I
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sorry, but that's the thing, right? It's like what customer are you catering for? Like what are your customer demographics, and
Hmm.
how do you show up for your customer? Right?
Hmm.
You cannot cater for each and every customer that's out there. I know who my customers are. I look at who's registered. I look at the products, and I look at how they engage and what they engage with, and then I focus on that. And then the company strategy and vision will also inform if we want to target a different set of customers. And then you go out into you look at the industry and say, how do you engage those customers? I mean, there's a pool of customers that we have that still. I don't know if you're familiar with USSD, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
and nobody like that product. It's under my portfolio. It hasn't been. We should not be saying, but it hasn't been touched in a while because those people it's a steady flow of customers. They use that they use it for the same processes every month, right? I
Mm.
change it. I never get a lot of um, you know bad feedback. The feedback is that they want more on that
Eh?
on the USSD, and I'm like, who still does USSD? I see way left, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just understanding all of those components. I see we lost our host.
Yeah, sorry about that. Let me try and reach out to him to know what went wrong. Just give me some minutes, please.
Sorry, can anybody hear me?
Yeah, can you?
Apologies, please. I mean, I should also go and give my review to the network provider. They need to hear from me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if they listen to you, this thing will not happen. It won't happen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's voice of customer is key. It's also one of the key KPIs that you have to look at.
Mhm.
I think one of the things I'll say is that all my digital channels, they have a KPI score. I always set a target for it,
Mhm.
and then we send out surveys to customers that we know engage with that channel, and then we see what score we're getting back, and that goes to my boss's boss, right? To say these people, they wanted a 6.5 and we got a 6.5, or we didn't achieve a 6.5. Why didn't we? And then we understand why we didn't do it, and then how do we change traction? What do we reprioritize? And that it's the complexity and intersectionality of everything you do as a product manager, every meeting, every session you go to, that informs how you move and how you prioritize.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my next question is going to be how how are we like? I mean, I mean, the question says future trend in cross functional collaboration. I mean, it's not the future anymore; it's today, anyways. I mean, we have people across the world that you work with. I mean, teams across the world that you work with, and so yeah, the question is that how do you manage people with different time zones, people with different culture? I mean, sometimes maybe culture is not really important. I mean, like
Oh,
you're
it's
managing
important.
what they are working on. It's not
Data
that
is important.
possible.
Yeah.
But then,
No,
I mean, sometimes
yeah.
it impacts it. I mean, maybe it's some people you don't just reach out to them for some certain times, and I mean, it can just like spoil their whole mood for the whole day, and it's also like bad on the product. That's like a minus 1 day from whatever duration that you've calculated for the whole product to be done. So I mean, it's important and also not important. I mean, how do you manage this?
Oh no, it's absolutely it's vital. It's vital to understand cultures and to consider cultures into the mix.
Exactly.
Um, Time zones. I mean, I mentioned that my team goes across different, countries and time zones, and then it's how do we work in a manner that enables that I don't my team somebody in India has to work extra long or 12 hours. How do we make sure that Priya in India still has the same quality of life as Leona in Cape Town, right? Because Leona wakes up at 8 at 5 and then they can spend time with their friends. Priya needs to be afforded the same capacity, which means Priya starts working earlier than I do, and then she will have stand up when we have stand up in the morning or whatever it is, and then she finishes earlier, right? And you know that I don't set up meetings with Priya after this time because technically she's done for the day. right? I have if I want to engage with Priya earlier or more, I wake up earlier, and that's the rule that we it's not a rule, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's what you create. And that's again, it comes back to creating safe spaces with your teams. Because if your team feels safe enough to raise those things, like I have to pick up my child, right, at 4 o'clock. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do those meetings. We know we can't do 4 o'clock meetings with architecture because Leona has to go pick up their child, right? And your family comes first. And it also comes part as um, the values the company believes in,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that how you treat your people
Mm-hmm.
well. And I mean, this hybrid working environment, it means, because that's what we've embraced. It's like we essentially work hybrid. I go to the office once a week. But that is, to touch points and see and remember where the offices are. But it's your life your life is it's more important. And people don't like this, but your life is more important than your work, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
work, yeah, it adds to your life, but your life is more important. Your kids are more important. Take care of your family, because when they are safe, you can focus and do the work, and you now feel, oh no, I'm in a psychologically safe space for me to do the best work version. We embarking on, like, how do we do emotionally intelligent leadership, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the items are on there is it's that aspect of what does it mean to have a psychologically safe space, right? Because like we're reading an article around teams that have that environment, they perform better. They actually they work over and above what they are contracted to, because they're like, no, I want to make sure this is the best version of the work that we can deliver. I wanna deliver quality. I wanna deliver something I am proud of. I mean, we've time this year. Our app won 4 or 5 awards, and to take that back to the team, like, this is the work that you've done for the past 3 years, right? This is what, and that is like a pat in the back, but it's also recognition that we could not do this without you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's giving flowers where flowers are due. They don't belong to me. I don't code. They belong to the people that actually sit and figure out, how do I take this complex product feature or customer need and convert it into code. And code, not that's not gonna just happen in one digital channel. It needs to happen online. It needs to happen in the app. We need to create an omni-channel experience, because that's what Leona wants from a product management perspective, right? And then they become innovative enough to do the solutions. I don't solution for them. I tell them, I want to solve this issue. How you
Mm-hmm.
solve it for me is up to you.
I love every part of this. In short, I love this Asamo, right? The reason is that, I mean, if you understand your people very well, I mean your team very well, and you give them that very space that they needed, right? It helps you and them get the goal faster, right? I can remember, like, I've worked in a team that the scheduled time was supposed to be like 9 months for a feature. Um, we were there almost 3 months, right? Because everybody understand what they need to do, and I mean, you really do not force people to do extra thing, because what then happen at the end of the day is that they go strict by what the work hours are, right? And they stop doing nothing outside it, right? But if you let it loose, I mean, you are just key on, okay, deliverables. I mean, okay, so I mean, you're expected to do this by this time. I mean, you just go and say, oh, yo, hi, where are you on this? And they give their feedback, you take it, and you also give your feedback in a very um, 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 easy and understandable way, because I mean, sometimes being respectful doesn't actually mean whatever that you have said it's understandable. I think the goal of communication is that whatever you are saying to your team is very understandable, and they get you both achieve um whatever that you want from the conversation. um I I also love the fact that you mentioned that if you understand people's culture, you understand um, um, what people are, right? It helps them go beyond their deliverables. I mean, you see people taking courses, um, and not even mentioning it to the company just because you ask them to work on a feature and they took their time to go and learn very well and build it at best. I've seen feature I mean, a task that you mentioned to an engineer, and he went beyond and also do what you did not ask them to do. I mean, they are already ahead of whatever you want them to do. I mean, you probably split it to a future task, but then they just concluded and completed everything at once, right? Thank you for that. I think I'm done with all of my question, but if you have anybody who wants to say one or two, please go ahead, ask your questions. If you are too shy about it, you can drop it on the chat section. I'll be happy to read it out. I think they should go on for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and you can just raise your hand if you have any questions, so I can pass it on to you, basically. I think this is an understanding one. Obviously, everybody actually do understand what is being said here. But I mean, if you have not joined the community, please be sure to join the community. We are on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and Twitter, now X, at Proba. Please join the community, and I mean, you can always bring your question. I'll be sure that the organizers will definitely get it across to Leona, and you get your answers accordingly. Um, um, I mean, Leona, do you have any closing remarks before we close this out?
Firstly, thank you for having me. This was a nice conversation around my favorite topic, collaboration. And I think for me is as a product manager, right? I always go to the one of the line, my favorite lines in the Agile manifesto is people over process. Prioritize your people. Um,
Mhm,
Prioritize your people, engage with your people, meet them where they are, not where you expect them to be. Just because I have a degree doesn't mean I'm emotionally mature enough to speak or to do things the way you want me to do them. Create safe spaces, product managers. It's it's a different world, right? We live and work in a different environment where you have to consider people, you have to consider their lives. Work is not the be all and end all. And as a product manager, if you really want a great team, you trust it. And you see it, you see how people start doing things that you don't expect. I was just this past week, we're closing a sprint,
mhm,
and the devs had finished working on whatever they needed to work for that 2 weeks. So instead of picking up something from the backlog, they're like, no, testing team is under pressure. We're going to be doing some testing, right? And they were helping testing, they were doing immigration, and we managed to release last week. And that's because we
Nice.
create standards, right? And that's what it is. We forget the emotional component because we're like, oh, we're working, I'm professional. No, people do
Mhm,
not put their problems at the door, right? But also, it doesn't mean your problems have to affect your work. It means how do I engage with you in a manner that does not make you feel like you're not worthy or your problems don't matter. But how do I help you navigate? Right?
mhm.
That's that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
It's a
so much,
pleasure.
Ivana. Yeah,
No,
I mean, I love that. I mean, we brought you here for, I mean, well, for what you love to do best. I think, you've been in the business sector for so long, and you were also be able to jump into product management, because I mean that's just it. Merge business, people and engineering together to get a goal. I mean, you've walked through the path. That's awesome, and happy to speak to you on this episode. And this is for everyone. Please be sure that you subscribe to this. Dio will post a link to make sure that you are stay tuned and you get notification accordingly for next upper one. Until the next time, please keep innovating, keep learning, and keep being passionate about the world of product management. It's a big one, right? This is me signing off, and remember that your next great idea might just be around the corner. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.